Do you think there are constitutional questions? Should the government of the day use the monarch in this way? Is that part of it?
Absolutely, totally, 100% not. We should not be using the royal family as cover in this particular case. There's a rumour that it was originally going to be called the Windsor Castle Agreement. It was going to be something, which actually gave it a bit of a royal imprimatur. I think it's utterly and totally wrong. And I think if someone has advised His Majesty correctly to have nothing to do with it, I mean, he should be a benign figure in the background here. He should not be a player on the pitch.
Come on, David.
Do you know what? We're going to have pretty much to agree. I mean, remember, there's a very, very, very famous precedent which makes exactly the point that you do, which was after Munich, when Chamberlain returned to London, the then King and Queen, the King's grandparents, George VI and Queen Elizabeth, welcomed Chamberlain onto the balcony of Buckingham Palace in front of vast cheering crowds. They got away with it, of course, because we like to pretend otherwise appeasement was popular, and also there was such alarm about the status of the monarchy after appeasement that blatant politicisation passed.
And Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mother, came in later years to regret having Chamberlain on the balcony, regretted that they had been used politically. Stephen.
Yeah, she did say that, and I think that really is, the royal family never explained, never apologised. I think in some ways the royal family has now learnt to actually stay out of these.
But I think equally we need to be a little bit cautious. I think the, how shall one say, recollections may vary. At the time, there is no doubt whatever, Queen Elizabeth was not used, George VI was not used, because of course it was a very decent case for appeasement. We forget this. Well, Steve, just 1 second. This is really serious. Nobody wanted to go through the horrors of the First World War. Can we revert to now?
But yes,
well, let's think of a more contemporary example. Let's think of David Cameron. We're not entirely sure about this. There's certainly a great deal of evidence to suggest that he tried to use Queen Elizabeth in the Scottish referendum vote, and he certainly tried to imply that she was loath to see her Scottish subjects, separate from the rest of the country.
What about the Queen's role, famously in Ireland, that handshake?
Well, and the address and the Gareth Morgan.
That came a long time after the peace process had been settled. That was a confirmation of it, right?
Indeed, but it still went beyond. And it did something very remarkable. It, of course, deployed her, the personal tragedy in the family, with that awful incident with Mountbatten. That tragedy was invoked very impressively. So the idea that the monarch shouldn't be involved, I think, dare I say, you made absolutely the right point when you made the point about timing. The issue is timing. This is something which is inchoate, which is not yet finished. On the other hand, let me make a prophecy. As it looks as though this will go through, there'll be not too much fuss made.
Stephen, you made the point about Scotland. Do you think what the Queen did there, the late Queen, did was wrong and she was politically used? And David Cameron famously said afterwards she was purring when the result came through, which wasn't thought particularly the right thing to say.
I think it was undignified, inappropriate and unconstitutional in all that.
The words outside Crathie Parish Church?
Precisely.
Yes, and you think, therefore, the Queen shouldn't have answered the question from a member of the public? And
No, the Queen is perfectly entitled to answer a question from a member of the public, but she's not entitled to have her words quoted by a Prime Minister in support of a political ambition.
But again, is there not a point, Jacob, that the Queen swore to the Union? The Union is an integral...
Coronation oath, but her oath also...
No, is an integral part of the coronation oath.
But so is that maintaining a Protestant church.
And so is maintaining a Protestant...
Stephen and I may find that a little bit difficult if they carried it out to the full of the constitutional oath.
No, but
the coronation oath.
It still restricts our children's marriage prospects.
You've been the one arguing for the Constitution. I've been pointing out that there are certainly cases where it would seem to me to be entirely proper.